And we are live. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of Respect the Craft here as we continue Three Legacies Week with episode number 283. As we are honored here to be joined by the current reigning and defending Three Legacies Wrestling heavyweight champion. He is the Thespian J.S. Hawthorne. Good evening, sir. How's it going?
Good evening. Hands down, best podcast entrance I've heard yet. That got me hyped up.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Again, shout out to Stefan Cricks for the amazing theme you hear there. But before we get into everything, like I said, we are here for Three Legacies Week as well, and a lot that I do want to discuss with you. I have to ask you the question, ask everyone that comes on. You heard the name of the podcast. It's called Respect the Craft. So for you, when you hear that term, the craft, what comes to mind?
Well, that's one of the reasons I chose to actually do this interview right here in my crafting space. So it kind of just goes hand in hand. But I think it goes down to just the real art of things and the real kind of where it starts. And you gotta kind of have to dedicate yourself to something to find all the secrets, you know. So yeah, no, it's you the craft of podcasting, the craft of wrestling, the craft of any art in general. It's just what do you kind of commit yourself into, and how deep do you want to go?
Got you. No, that works right there. And here we go. We got Phil Fox already in the chat here. But as we continue here, now I do want to get into a little bit of, for you, what was it that made you decide you have to step through those ropes, though? Outside of just finding that love for our craft here and finding that love for the art, what was it that made you decide you have to step in?
Well, baseline, I'm a performer to start with. Put the theater degree aside. I was gonna do some kind of performance somewhere. But I'll tell this every time, is like that moment you're like, it can't be that easy to kind of like step into that world. Like, I want to, but I'm sure there's like this and this in the way. And then you're watching Nacho Libre and you're like, he just kind of like walks into, I know like Lucha Libre is big in Mexico, but he kind of got into that real easy. Like, can I do that? Is it that? If I just try, will it happen? And I lucked out. So I mean, it turned out to work out incredibly, almost fortuitously, serendipitously, in all destiny. Let's call it that. I don't know.
That works again. First time I've heard the inspiration coming from Nacho Libre. So
It's one of those things. It has it all. It has the comedy, it has the wrestling, and it has that underlying. Even you, for the right cause, can be a part of this world, or for the wrong cause, and then everyone hates you, and then you get canceled, and then that's that. But at least you could say you were part of it.
That is true. That is very true. But as we continue here in the form of the arts, though, having both passions here, having both crafts that you do, how was that finding, again, putting that proficiency in acting in the arts to then make that transition as well to the wrestling side of things? That is, I always say, the best thing about this craft, it has that mixture of the arts, it has theater, it has everything, just as well a little bit of some physical combat in there. So
and that's that differentiating part, is the physical combat. That sometimes that's people's major focus, and they come to the entertainment and the performance later, and they already have that athletic baseline. Some people have a mix of both. Some people are purely entertainment, and for those people, they learn the craft in a whole different way. Maybe physically they can't do it, but they love wrestling so much, so we create those parts for them, whether it's the general managers or the attaches, the actual managers and stuff like that, the escorts and stuff. But definitely now in my journey is I need to be incredibly. I've got the performance down pat. I'm tested. It's what I do. It's the physical that I have to upkeep now, because injuries come. You never know when they're going to come from. You got to be able to cope with your body and handle. Like I was saying to you before we started, my back's a bit locked up, but I know how to physically work with that. But definitely it starts with a fight. That's we're on stage to fight, stage combat. What I
No,
love, you have to be able to combat to stage combat. So you have to have the athlete in you. And yeah, you can work around it. You can definitely the best at the craft know how to accentuate strength and minimize weakness. So that comes with the psychological part of it, but definitely the physical is the pivotal moment as far as protecting your own body. And yeah, you're gonna hit some people with some things, but they got to they gotta get up. They
yeah.
got a family to feed. But you're gonna beat their ass while you can.
Oh, definitely, definitely. So here we go. We got my brother from the Call Up Podcast showing some love here for Hawthorne. And then what's going on, Kenny? What's going on? And what's going on, Nick, as well, watching in the chat. But as we continue here, for you though, again, what was it that now makes you decide outside of just the Nacho Libre, once you're in it though, of saying this was the right choice, outside of just the artistic part of it, what was it that made you that it clicked? That it's like, you know what? We're gonna keep going with this as well.
There's always a good why not. Um, there's the what would I rather be doing? Um, because at this point, I'm only 5 years in, and I understand that everybody's journey is different, and so definitely I am doing my best not to compare my journey to compared to other people's journeys because I was saying to some people they were uh, signed within 4 years of starting training with the WWE. They're signed to WWE, and that's how it goes sometimes. You right place, right face. Um, but I think that's definitely a part of it too. That keeps me in right place, right face. Who you know gets you there. What you know and do keeps you there, and you just kind of hope for that opportunity. And I've succeeded in my luck with where I'm at and proven time and again to the people that want to put stock in me that hey, I'm worth putting stock into and that I've got diversity under my belt and I can do things that make me a value. And I like being a value to people. I like making other people feel good in that regard. It's definitely selfish. It's definitely a hey, I'm going. This is for me. I
Yeah.
wouldn't be doing this. This hurts way too much for it not to be me. But I definitely know that I have control of the pain that I get to experience. And a lot of the things I don't get to control, obviously, we want that control in our lives. And I definitely feel that pro wrestling gives me that freedom that I want to. Is like, yeah, life's gonna hurt. There are things that I can't control that are gonna hurt, but I can control how this hurts. Sometimes I can't, and it hurts really bad, and I don't want it to be hurting. But that's up to us every day to choose. I like having at least what I like to think is choice.
Aren't you? No, again, it has proven to be dividends currently holding, like we mentioned, that three legacies heavyweight championship there,
Uh,
previously holding that sanctuary championship as well. And
uh,
oh, look at
yeah,
that.
no, it's turning out all right. It's
So it's
feeling,
it's working out there. It's working out for you. So as it continues to be, but like I guess Brittany not too fond of you here as
no, Brittany
Will
hates me.
Keller going to kick
I
your
like
butt and win back his title on Saturday because he's the one and only.
Brittany's just Josh, and she's my biggest fan. She can't get enough Hawthorne. They
God,
call me Harry Hawthorne, which is probably the most obvious thing ever said. I tell them to come up with something new, and they're like, "No, keep calling you Harry." I'm like, "Thank you, Captain Obvious."
yeah, she did. She did comment that you should shave your back on one of the previous episodes we did this week.
Yeah. And,
So,
and to that I say, what about my front? What about my legs? What about my head? I've got hair everywhere. Be specific.
but I guess it's better. It's no better time than now to get into this huge championship match at the Red Rose Rumble event. Red Rose Rumble 2, I should say, this Saturday night, as you'll be facing Bro Keller there. And look at that front and
Okay.
center right there.
I
Look at
understand. I understand. They did a great job with that graphic. I've been on some other graphics. Actually, yeah, Brittany was the one that won that blanket at the last show, and I'm the champ, and I'm the smallest person on that blanket, and I felt disrespected. So that poster was nice to see, but yeah, this is shaping up to be probably the biggest show that I've experienced like in Pennsylvania in general, as far as the independents are going. Um, Simply like and I was down in Philly Mania week, and so I saw a lot of just big numbers, crowds of just wrestling fans ready to go. But you don't have that. Oh, it's WrestleMania week, that people are there to be there, and there's people coming from out of state. This is locally grown, locally built, locally promoted product that has dropped in. It's only really 2-ish years old, not even, and has already it just has a lot of momentum behind it. And in the first year, with very little know-how of people being like, oh, there's wrestling here, 2,400 seats sold at the first Red Rose Rumble, and we're looking to push four. And I took a look at the seating chart and the how many tickets are actually available in the sections. The grandstand is basically sold out. There's a few on the field seats that, yeah, they're a little bit more pricey, but you're on the field, you're right there.
You get that true
Um,
experience of being right close enough
so
there.
it might set up around 4 or 5 thousand people for this show, and that's it's a testament to not only what Jesus, Chris, and Bobby have put together. Those are the three legacies of three legacies. But it's the people that want to put in their efforts and get better at their craft. And it's yeah, we're all selfish and be like, oh, this benefits me in this moment. But then there are the people that are just genuinely, I want to experience this with you people. I want to share in this. And if I'm getting better at it along the way, and I can give back with something, or do better for myself, oh, I can do all three. Why not? It's a multifaceted thing, and it's really enjoyable to be spearheading that.
No, definitely so. And again, we've said it this whole week, just seeing the stacked roster that's going to be there coming out of not only representing that Three Legacies roster, but also the Three Legacies Academy. And then you have a lot of great names that are being added as well, including the special guest referee for this one being none other than AEW's own Bryce Remsburg, there to truly make sure this is called right down the middle. Because, like the comment section is saying here, again, they're not too fond of you, it seems, from the Three Legacy
Yeah,
faithful.
they shouldn't be. They shouldn't be. I would, in some part of me, I want to be liked, but not by them. I don't need them to like me. I need them to find me deplorable, and that's just that's just the flavor I'm feeling right now. As far as Bryce is concerned, people are saying, oh, he's Bryn's brother, like they're brother and sister, and Bryn's been getting in all of Bro's business. And so it's like, oh, he's gonna be biased towards Hawthorne. And it's like, I don't see that happening. I can tout my accolades and stuff, but Bryce is on TV weekly. He's doing the job. He wouldn't be in the place he's at if he's being partial to anybody. So no, I have that in my game plan going against Bro, that Bryce is going to be right down the middle. And honestly, I don't need Bryn's help. Bryn, I haven't asked once for help from the Lancaster Commission of Wrestling. I haven't asked once. All they've done has just happened to benefit me, or their actions have been just there, and I'm like, I'm gonna use that. And who are they? Who are the fans to judge me for making the most of an opportunity that the the law of the land, the commission, they're laying down now? If the commission starts talking to a thespian about what he can and can't do on his stage, then we'll have a little bit of a discussion and some things to settle there. But as far as we're going, I got Bro on Saturday. Bryn can be as loud as she wants, and Bryce can call it down the middle. I'm still walking out the champ.
I was gonna say, because I did speak to Jesus about that, because he was your last challenger for that championship there, and again, it seems Bryn definitely had a little bit of hands in the action there. So I can see where it might be a little misunderstood that she might have your best interest when it comes to your title matches.
And I can you blame her? Have I done anything wrong for the company as a whole? We're about to have a 4 or 5 thousand seater event. We've sold out the Lancaster Convention Center, the Lebanon Expo Center, Millersville University on multiple occasions. I don't. It's not a downside thing, but like Jesus, he's worked for WWE. This is his company. He made a mistake. He got distracted. He's the one who did the bro job, which clearly was banned earlier in the evening. That's on him. He got distracted. I had a stagehand, and I may have done some things, but I won. That's all it is.
Unfortunately, again, I must be as unbiased as ever here and say, in the record books, it does show that. It shows, and your winner, J.S. Hawthorne, no matter by hook or by crook, you
If
are
the
still
rest doesn't see it, is it really breaking the rules?
this is true. This is true. Again, I don't think that's going to be the most liked answer here, but I can't disagree, unfortunately. But
Wrestling, unless it's commentary, we don't do instant replay on decisions.
no, that is all. Then again, as a broadcaster, I will still stay unbiased here and say again, it happens, but we lead to this Saturday, the biggest stage right here for the Red Rose Rumble 2. It all goes down this Saturday, so we shall see if this reign continues, or will Bro Keller be able to do what people are saying is rightfully his? We'll see. We'll see from there.
Rightfully his how?
Again, this is what the people are saying. I'm just saying in the middle.
Expenses, lost opportunities to get at it, but I'm giving him a fair. I'm giving him a fair go. It's going to be a great sold out event. That's all.
There you go. So that is awesome right there. But as we continue though, the weekend doesn't end there for you, because after a huge title defense like that Sunday, then you will be teaming up with the greatest damn showman Jocko as the marquee, taking on War Machines there for a huge collaboration event between Bree Combination Wrestling, Smash Masters Wrestling, CFU, and more, all at Goal Rush. Talk us through this one and this pairing here with the greatest damn showman Jocko.
So take the wide perspective on this show.
Okay.
This show is stacked. You got Jamie Senegal, Allison Kay, Darius Carter, Chris Bay. The list goes on. You've got regional stars. You've got international stars. You have people that are at the top of their game, and that's a lot. There's a lot of matches. Smash doesn't like to run a lot of matches, but we're jam packed on this one. So, it's not like we're gonna get outshined. The marquee, the spotlight, top of the marquee. This is not the first time I faced the Diamond City War Machines. Back when I was rolling with Bougie and the Pantheon with Face. We may have used a little bit of a fireball. I like some special effects. I like some props. So I might have Jacko take the first half just to tire the guys out, because they're going to be a little bit peeved with me. But yeah, no, the War Machines are not to be taken lightly. They're called the War Machines for a reason. So I like the coin phrase theater of war. That's one of my personal favorites. Might even use that for a future tag team name. Who knows? But as far as the marquee is concerned, I'm very excited because I've wanted to work with Jacko for a long time. It's we've done some things, Jacko and I, on the same and different sides of the rings, and we have an understanding. Yeah, but it's very exciting. I've wanted to work on my tag team work and get better at that and expand that part of the craft. So definitely excited for that. But I'm given that will be my third match of the weekend. I'm going to gonna let Jacko try and take the reins on that one. Not gonna lie. Gonna do what I can, assist him, and we'll find a way to win. I believe we beat the Diamond City War Machines once. We can do it again.
Got you. No, again, then that shows though how it is a busy weekend for you. But again, both being championship commitments that Friday and Saturday, then going into that tag team matchup there at another huge event. 3 huge events coming up here, and again, we shall see how it goes for the Thespian here. But now I want to get into that before we go into another match you're having later on in the month. I do want to get into a little bit of the mind here of the Thespian and how to, again, I think I know why, but I want to get into finding who is the Thespian JS Hawthorne. How do we get there in terms of our craft here?
You you become a theater kid. Uh, you grow a lot of body and facial hair at a young age. You do a bunch of plays and musicals. You get a degree in theater performance. You get trained as a professional mascot by the original Phillies fanatic. You perform for internationally acclaimed theaters. And then you start training as a pro wrestler and stuntman under a SAG-AFTRA stuntman, trained by the Wild Samoans, and another trainer who was Johnny Rods's head trainer for about 2 decades. And then you rock and roll and try to make a difference in the independent scene and do something new that no one's ever seen before and be something that no one's ever considered before. And once you're there, you're just kind of there. Long and the
Gotcha.
short of it, I don't
Gotcha.
know. You take your legal name's initials and you find a fancy character name. That's you step into the role, add an accent in if you're really so inclined. It's kind of circumstantial. Sometimes I feel it, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I'm just the actor, sometimes I'm the role.
Gotcha. No, that fits, especially in this world here. That there's a lot of very stepping in and out of the situation here, depending on the task and adapting. Like for this weekend, perhaps with 3 matches, is definitely going to call for different sides of the actor or different sides of the role here. What we could see out of JS Hawthorne here, depending on what's needed at the Sanctuary, what's needed at 3 Legacies, and what's needed Sunday for Smash Master at that huge collaborative event there.
Absolutely.
So, but as we talk about it here, I do want to get into the next confirmed matchup before I get into another topic I do want to discuss, and that is for AXW here, American Excellence Wrestling. You'll be a part of their event here, taking on Cody Fluffman. I want to say is how you pronounce his name. Interesting name here for Recharge. But take us through this one here, as it's going to be streamed as well for free on YouTube. So talk us through Recharge here.
I'm not one to name shame. I don't yuck anyone's yum. I don't know too much about the Fluff Man. He's got a great smile. I'm sure it's going to be a very entertaining match. Uh, I've got a long history with AXW. It started with Outbreak before the transition over into back into AXW, because that was way before my time. But yeah, no, I always am glad to kind of step back into that stage at AXW, because that's definitely where some of my first kind of reaches out into the region were, and people started to take notice of me, and where the egos would get bruised, or someone would get a sore about being on a live pre-show on an event. But that's not how I look at it. I see it as we're going live on YouTube and it's free access, promoted well. You'll get hundreds of views. I'm sure Cody is the kind of man that has well endowed social media. I've got some decent following myself. So it's definitely a great opportunity to go live. And for the fans that are there, they know who I am. They're coming to see the Thespian. They will be there pre-show. I guarantee it. So where are the people? They say, "Oh, I'm so big and mighty. I should be in the main event, or I should be at least on the main card." I don't need to sit here and drop my accolades. People know who I am. I'll go where I'm needed, and I will shine and outshine wherever I am. So.
Got you. No. Understood there. But I do want to continue now here with we mentioned it earlier, that Sanctuary Championship, which also precedes me to say Andre Polino says hello. So for so
I
he,
miss
he said he says hello there. But talk us a little bit of that, the time at the Sanctuary there, where currently you've been having a little bit of an issue with one Aaron Roxas. So talk
well,
us through that.
yeah, there would be no JS Hawthorne if there was no Sanctuary. And I, in some aspect, would like to say that there would be no Sanctuary in its current form if there were no JS Hawthorne to, because it's been about 5 years. I've been around for at least half of the life of Sanctuary now. And there's been a lot of change. There's been a lot of the same. There's been great joy and great sadness, but that's with anything. So seeing people like Roxas come in and try and take advantage of voids and opportunities and leverages on people, that's nothing new. I'm not surprised by that. Him getting people behind him. He has a message. People are susceptible to propaganda. That's just how it goes. Um, I was a bit pressed. I was a bit distracted, and people were getting hurt. People were getting attacked. People were getting taken out by the Abyss, Roxas, uh, Damien, and Troy Locke. And it wasn't good. It wasn't a good time. But now, after Sanctuary Mania, I beat him. I beat Roxas. What his next moves are, I don't know. That's probably the most dangerous part about him. He's very unpredictable. Um, but I'm gonna keep on my toes because I don't know if Damien or Troy are gonna come after me. Because Troy's the spotlight champion, and I take that belt very seriously, and I helped. That was one of my first belts coming up that I wanted to put the shine back on, and he's doing some good work with it, and he should be definitely taken as a threat. But all of them together are much more dangerous than they are apart. Um, as far as what's coming next, I'm curious to see. Uh, John, as a storyteller, has been rather unpredictable in this past season, especially given the stuff with Precious. But hopefully, now that he has gotten past the 10-year anniversary, because that was a big moment and everything, and we had the returns of Johnny Moran and Marcy Cabrera and people coming in to help Precious be crowned the new Sanctuary champion. Hopefully, that squeezed John's villain sponge, and he can lock back into the production and the promotion and things like that. So because that was a distraction in my mind because I'm such a production oriented guy coming from the theater background. It's like I can't help but stage manage. I can't help but wear 1,000 different hats there because I want to give myself my all and not hold anything back. But that also takes a lot of energy in a lot of different places that maybe Roxas or somebody else is just focused into one. And maybe I'm worn out from defending a belt. Maybe I'm worn out from a tag match, and someone catches me on the wrong day and pulls a fast one and takes a belt that's very important to me away. So what's next is definitely this is the second half of the year. Like the Sanctuary calendar is kind of broken up into two halves. This is the first post Mania, so like this is going to be some moving and shaking, and a lot of pieces are going to get put into place.
Gotcha.
And this is probably the first time I've gone into it very in the dark comparatively to previous times. So I'm just keeping my head on a swivel. That's where I'm at.
Got you. Definitely stay tuned, folks, to see what will be next. Again, everyone's going into it, seeing what can happen post Sanctuary Mania there, but we shall see. We shall see.
Friday live on YouTube.
There you go. Stay tuned, everyone. Stay tuned. But as we continue here talking more about you now, again, now that we talked about confirmed matches, stuff that could possibly happen in the future, I have to ask you the question now and I'll phrase it this way. Who are some people that you would like to share that center stage with?
Man, this happens all the time, and I never feel good about answering. I've been so lucky with a bunch of the people that I either like in my head, I whisper to people, like, "Hey, man, it'd be really cool to work with." Like, I got to work with Bobby Buffet up in Smash, um, Hornswoggle in West Virginia. Got to work Ricardo Rodriguez. Man, Shannon Moore, I got to work with that. People like I didn't know that I was like I wanted to work with until
Yeah.
you're like, this person's really fun, really cool. Um, man, I definitely Darius Carter is one of those first ones that kind of pops up just because I enjoy his flavor. He's got a
I'm
style, and I enjoy it.
I'm not gonna lie. When I was getting ready to ask this, I was like, I kind of hope he doesn't mention because that was a match I was gonna say I feel like we need to see because I feel like you two are very there's similarities there. There's little things that it's like I feel like even just the promos alone would be a interesting thing to see to promote a match like that.
We're both men that can be very eloquent when we
Yeah.
need to be, and see, that's the thing. That's why we can't have that match. We can't have the promos because the average wrestling public are too dumb to understand it properly and appreciate what they're being presented. So we'll see. I honestly, I think it's as long as I keep in the game and he keeps in the game, it's a matter of when, not if.
Got you.
Um, man, besides him, there's just so many people that I've come across. I've basically been around the same time as Marcus Mathers, and we were on shows similarly. We definitely have contrasting styles, but I think that we're both incredibly talented at our own right and can put something pretty good together. I'm trying to think of just generally, not just the names of like that people know outward, but definitely as far as like Three Legacies concerned, I've been keeping my eye on the up and comers at the school, and have worked a little bit firsthand with them, just kind of see where they're at.
Got
Um, and like I've already worked a couple like Zoe Cannon, Just Jay, Al Snook, and there's limitless potential there. I'm seeing some people before I got into them like Alcade, Chris Alcade. He's got some potential. Byron Simmons, definitely too. That I definitely can see some good stuff coming from. Um, man, there's just all over. I would love just to travel. Like there's so many places of just getting out of the state, out of the country. My passport's good till 2027. Someone
you.
please book me internationally. Um, Yeah, I think that's before anything is just like I don't care who it is. Send me to the middle of nowhere in another country, and I'll wrestle them and be happy. It's really not about the opponent at this point. It's about what because you never know. Like the match I had against Jean Paul Le Miserable in Three Legacies is by far one of my favorite matches, and it wasn't because oh he's a big name or whatever. It's because we were able to immerse ourselves in the craft itself, the craft within the craft within the craft, and get the audience so involved and so immersed and so part of what we were telling them that they thought I lit a flaming table inside of a ring inside a church, like when it was all imaginary. Like that's that stuff you yearn for. So it's really I'm happy just to be performing, no matter who it is.
Got you. No, that definitely works, and it's one of those where it's funny you mentioned again out of that great Three Legacies Academy. You mentioned Byron Simmons. You mentioned again he's going to be a part of that Red Rose Rumble this Saturday at Red Rose Rumble too, and he did put it out there that if he's able to win that cup, he definitely has his sights set on you just because of what you did previously when you held that cup there. So
Hey, I more power to him. I just want the excuse to prove that I have a better mustache and wear kilts better, because he may be the kilt man, but I am the kilt wizard. So he can. I just want the excuse to outdress him like a true Scot.
Got you.
So.
Got you. There you go. Again, I don't think he's gonna take that too well, but hey, he threw out the first shot there, I guess. So it works out. But now again, we mentioned those names. I feel like there is one, especially with that previous training, like you mentioned, that as a man that I guess he was a thespian at one point, but now he's a little more um psychotic that I feel like you two could face. One Hamlet hurts you. I feel like would be an interesting pairing. Even though again
Mm,
he's a little he's a little out there now. I've seen the recent stuff that yeah,
I
little weird.
I adore Hamlet, and in my heart of hearts, I want to wrestle him, but I also want to team with him,
See
especially after
that could also work.
especially after he started doing this bizarre turn. I
Yeah,
was so much more invested, and I was invested in for him for a long time because one of his trainer Billy and my trainer Billy, they're the same guy.
yeah.
So we have a lot of things in common and share a lot of similar perspectives on things. So I I would love nothing more than to share a ring with him, whether it be on the same side or on the opposite side. I'd also like him to take me with him to the UAE and other places like that, where he was killing it in the stunt shows, and that's part of the theater. That's part of the stunt fighting. That's it's right up our alley. So yeah, no, a lot of respect for Hamlet.
Gosh, no, that definitely that was something that I was like, I feel like again that could be a perfect pairing as well. Who knows what could happen? Again, crazy things have happened in our craft here. So, but as we continue here, I like to now ask this question. That's a little bit of a it's a loaded one because it comes with now having to narrow it down to possibly one, or I give the option of multiple here, as it's going to be for you for your career so far. As you said, 5 years in, what is a match that you would say that defines your career so far? So far.
Hmm. 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 That defines it. That's the tough part because the definitely I've never been tied down to like one thing, one style, one flavor. I definitely don't like to be just a one note sort of thing. So I'm trying to think of what those matches were that had a little bit of everything. Um, probably I think definitely my first year at the end of Sanctuary Mania when Corey Orion and I did 3 stages of hell. I think in that moment, and this is just kind of the momentum I've been trying to ride ever since, was the as soon as it was over and the story that we made, and this was the first ever wrestling thing I ever did. I walked into Sanctuary knowing Jack, and then I'm put into this program, and from January until May, I'm training, or I'm sorry, January until June, I'm training, learning, doing the shows, telling the story, and then doing it to completion with full narrative in like a 6 episode structure with like this. It was not just the match. I think that's the key of it. It was fully the story, and this is the best wrestling matches always have the best story and build up. It was everything from it was St. Patrick's Day and I'm fighting a giant leprechaun to me fighting him in an East. He was the Easter Bunny, and we did LARP. I had my foam weapons, and I beat him to death with my weapons. To it was what were we doing in June? Oh, it was the drag show. We did the drag episode, and we had a bra and panties match in drag. To then July, we had American Gladiators games, and we did American Gladiators. That we did the joust and all these things to then finally at Sanctuary Mania, we've gone back and forth 3 stages of hell, and then ends with me spearing him through a 6 foot tall portrait of my face that I just did a 3 minute nonstop promo in front of. and then it rained roses when I won. In that moment, I said, if I never wrestle again, I'm content. I don't have to do this ever again. I don't have to do this anymore. I've done it. I just did it probably in the most perfect way I could have done it. Yeah, there were mistakes and I wasn't as good as what I could have done. It didn't matter. I was in the
Yeah, yeah.
moment.
Gotcha.
And now it's I can keep just going and going, is like I can stop at any point and I'm content. I did it. I've peaked, but I haven't peaked. There's still more. Yeah, I'm hungry for more. I want to learn more, but I could live another life. I'm not fully distraught if I can't do this anymore. It'll hurt like a son of a bitch, but I've seen it. I've been there. I've done it, and as small of a magnitude in the world, like the eyes of the world, that's where it's just that significance to me of just having that experience off the bat. And that's lucky. That's incredibly lucky. I lucked out.
No,
And
definitely to have that moment where it feels like almost that completion there. But also, again, it shows though having truly be the whole story process of it, which works again for a question like this. It truly gets to have that moment where this all was able to define something because it's a defining chapter, if you will, into this ever going story here.
absolutely, and it's not until like later looking back on it how lucky you get, because rarely in this, let alone the independent world, the outside world, are things align the way they do to kind of put you in the situation for that. And that's again where you have to be prepared and flexible, and not get let yourself get in your own way with certain things. But again, being incredibly lucky and making the most of it, while you was like, hey, I got this now, I'm going to do what I can now, because I can't ever say I didn't give it my all in that moment. But it's definitely, looking back, it was there. I've never seen it work out that well for a lot of people coming in. I'm seeing it a bit more just now that I'm just around more first time people, and I can see is like, okay, there are certain trends that I'm seeing, not only in the structure that they're learning, but also the kind of people that they are. And I see, and I'm starting to understand why, like, some people can see the distance and kind of want to put the stock in people more, because they've seen where it's worked out in the past, whether it be a combination of humility and tenacity, or just raw talent. So I'm just trying to pick up on those things in other people and see where they can be accentuated in myself.
Got you. No, again, and it works so well to see those things, and again, pick apart where you can now learn from that and continue to develop for what comes next here for the Thespian. But I do also want to ask that because again, with that theater background, with the again having the love for the arts there, how important it is for you for the cinematic aspect, especially with wrestling, the promo, the art of that, just the uh cinematic side to it. How important is that for you for that to always be as well as crisp and as just different than what's being put out there?
It definitely comes back to the diversity of experience. You don't want to see the same thing again and again and again and again. If we're just given this standardized format, okay, yeah, we have this understand format, but it gets boring, and people, especially in this era of constant attention grabbing things, pop-ups and memes and stuff, it's important to have a diversified, not only be a part of like a diversified product, but have diversity within you to know enough about everything and know enough. The classic jack of all trades, master of none. I'd prefer to have a little bit of hands in everything, just to feel a sense of comfort in that. But get uncomfortable. Find the things that no one's doing. Then it's like, oh, this is the reason they're not doing. It's like, well, could this be a reason you can do it? And find the things that make emotion, because there is going to be a circumstance where you can use that, and that's that we're in the business of emotions and manipulating people's emotions for sales. That's just what it is from like a business perspective. From an artistic perspective, definitely to put things in front of people, and that's where wrestling is what is my favorite form of theater, because theater is very almost pooled, where each show is its own. It has a narrative and a story and a subtext and this thing we're trying to get across, and that people will find value in for different reasons. But wrestling has just this thing about it that it just has everybody in it, and it's foolish to say that theater doesn't have that, but there's just it's in a different space, you know, that there's it's really hard to describe. I
Yeah.
really can't. Um, the from top to bottom, you just have this well of people, and I don't even know where I'm going with it. It's just it's such a complicated mesh of just personalities and types of humans and people looking at it from different places for different reasons,
Yeah.
and that as far as like what art we're making, sometimes it doesn't matter to people. Sometimes they don't care about the art. Sometimes they don't care about the money. Sometimes they don't care about the physical. Sometimes it's a person to person thing. And well, I love the inclusivity of it. That's one of the most beautiful things, and that's the theater part of me, is like one of those inclusive spaces where it's like you are welcome here. Uh, until you are not safe to be here, then that's just a general morality thing. But wrestling is definitely one of those places where we can tap into certain human elements, and sure, it can be over the top and not as nuanced as someone who is watching Cabaret. Cabaret has been in the media recently for the MC and how he's portrayed, and certain things of, oh well, the intent and intention of this character is to do this, and blah blah blah. And then you have the archetypes in pro wrestling where this person's supposed to be this, and it's a eternally fluid thing
Yeah.
based on the society that we're living in. And while theater, it takes, you have to write down about this thing, and it can be a historical piece put into this thing and to help explain this modern times issue. We're in the modern times issue, telling the stories as they are, weekly, monthly, year to year, as we're just going on as people. What trends are going, what can be quickly grabbed for a meme, what can be turned into something more meaningful, that has been around, that here's this concept that someone sees from a new perspective, and oh wow, they just changed the game even though we never knew that game was possible. And it's it's fascinating, and I'm trying not to get lost in the sauce of that. What each of us are doing is actually kind of meaningless to the wide perspective until someone else sees it and sees value in it, and more of, we're doing art for the collective conscious, that it exists because we brought it into existence here or physically. It has now come into this consciousness and we're doing it. It's there. So I think just the stage, just having the stage, and that's the base of theater, is when you have a space, you have anything. You can make anything out of it. So that cinematography, you create the vibe, you create the feeling. I was just saying before the Wyatt Six reappeared, was that, man, WWE was so good with their production that they could immerse you in the supernatural. And yeah, sometimes it was corny, but it was so much fun, and you felt good. You got to feel like a child, being because you didn't. you could let your walls down and be embraced by the community of, oh man, the Undertaker, he's a dead man, and we're not judging each other because he's now a biker or whatever. It's just, it's, you can put yourself there. And so WWE going back to that, adding in that spooky element. Now that's the tough part of a new audience, a new generation. How are they going to perceive it? We love superheroes. We love Marvel and the cinematic universes and anime and all these things, all these attributes that are across the human experience of storytelling, that it's really up to us as the artists to convey that, not only first to ourselves, we have to figure out for ourselves, convince someone else of doing it that has the production aspects, convince someone else of doing it that has the money aspects, and then putting it all together without hating each other and making something that may be only special to like 1,000 people or 5 people, but you're doing it. And that's one of like the trippiest like artistic things, and real life getting, if I can find someone that can portray that aspect of it, of that, oh, what you're doing has so much significance to so few people, and finding a way of explaining that on stage in a wrestling context, that's what I just throw that out there. Make that a concept. I don't know. But these conversations you have on podcasts, people bringing things up, perspectives that no one thought about, and it's just about being here. It's really just about being in the moment, because you never know what thought will come across your head. It really is. It's, I love it. It's maddening. But it's great.
No, it's one of the best things about it, because it creates conversation. It creates those thoughts that then it can create something else out of it. Again, moments like that, visuals like that, it creates something where
What could have been?
yeah, yep. It starts to adapt other things. You start to think, oh, if you look at it like that, and then it starts to spark something, and little things like that, even videos like that, where you say it might lead to 1,000 or even 5, but it's one of those where those people seeing that can then, oh, now that sparks me wanting to do this, or it makes me want to now create this, or oh, I never thought about it like that. And that sparks a whole nother thing. And that leads to the next conversation.
Absolutely.
Yep.
That's what I like about the performance. It's just the act of putting it out there as loudly as possible.
Yeah.
Versus certain performances very meek and mild, versus pro wrestling is very boisterous and will not be ignored, no matter how much people try.
Gotcha. No, definitely so. But JS, I want to start wrapping this up here. Again, you're a busy man, a lot coming up this weekend. But before we end this here, I have one final question I have to ask, and that is, for JS Hawthorne here, what is the end goal?
End goal? Wow. Post-retirement is probably like a homestead and self-sustaining property not attached to society. That's end goal. As far as career encompassing things, fulfillment, definitely just cover as many of the bases as I can. If I don't cover them all, that's fine. I'll measure my metrics where I want to measure them, and ignore some numbers I don't want to count. Help people. I definitely want to help more people than I hurt. I want to hurt a lot of people though. Let's get that clear. Like, I take very much satisfaction in the bringing pain aspect of this craft. Like, I want to hurt a lot of people, but I want to help more people than I hurt. So let's just grasp. I want to help so many people. I want them to have a good time, enjoy life where they can, and find inspiration to handle other things, and go about it with nuance. And if I can somehow get that across to the dumbest and the lowest IQ'd of the general public, then I consider that success. I'm not saying I'm any kind of a genius, but I definitely think that the the trope of the uneducated fan, honestly, I think is it's going away. It's still we still got some anchors holding us down, but there's definitely I appreciate, and it was this article that was explaining about how uh, ballet had gone through such a hard time in the 80s, not just because so many of the performers were gay and died of AIDS, but because so much of the audience, the educated audience that knew when to clap, have the appreciation for, so many of them had passed away during the AIDS crisis, that you lost this cultured art audience space. And so that's where in pro wrestling nowadays, because of the internet, because of the saturation and oversaturation of wrestling markets across the world, there is this there's this camaraderie and interconnected universe that we all live in and can share in, and that are educated on so many things. Now, unfortunately, this makes smart marks and people think they know better and can speak with expertise on things they know literally nothing about, because they've never committed to the craft. They've committed as fans, and they can see it from, and they can be as studious and they can be historians and things, but there's certain things that just you're gonna miss.
Yeah.
But now more than ever, people have access to them. These podcasts weren't a thing 30 years ago. The diversity of ability to talk about and consider and absorb the pro wrestling world is thicker than it's ever been, and it's a delicious soup, creamy, and I'd say like a potato gnocchi, just all day.
There you go. No, that works, and that encompasses, at least to the best ability here, this amazing craft and this art form that we talk about here. But before I let you go as well, I want to make sure for everyone to go follow JS Hawthorne and all of his social media right there. Links will also be in the description down below, but also make sure you are following Three Legacies Wrestling as we continue Three Legacies Week here on the podcast as we get ready for the Red Rose Rumble 2 event. Again, a stacked event happening this Saturday night. Once again, it will be for that Three Legacies Wrestling Championship there as JS Hawthorne defends against Bro Keller with Bryce Remsburg as your special guest referee. And then the weekend continues that Sunday. And don't forget this Friday as well. If you're in the area for Sanctuary Wrestling, you will see again what will happen. What will happen. But again, JS, thank you so much for joining us here. It's been a pleasure. And to everyone watching, as always, don't forget to be wise, be genuine, be real, be better people, respect the craft, and we'll see you guys on the next